Hello and welcome to Curiosity Chronicles. Today we're going to talk about something a little heavy and something quite suspicious and something that just doesn't add up for me. And that is Virginia Giuffre. Yeah, she is. I have a lot of notes. I organized my thoughts, got them all written out, and which is why it's taken me a couple days to kind of sit down with this one. So it's reported that she has unalived herself. But this story just doesn't add up for me. And so I want to dig into some of the possibilities of things that went on. Just for a timeline for us, she apparently split up with her husband and said that it was an abusive relationship. And then there was the car accident, which from all reports sort of sounded like a fender bender. It was a school bus, I think, and that I but there were really no other injuries. There was no big report. People that were there, witnesses, people in Australia who watched the news were like, "Oh no, it was just a little bump. It wasn't a big deal." But that apparently, according to Virginia, has sent her into the hospital with severe injuries. We saw the photo of her all black and bruised and everything, and I'm just like, what caused this bruising? Because it certainly wasn't a fender bender that caused the bruising. There was no report of like the airbag going off, because I know that if I'm a tiny person and I have to sit quite close to the steering wheel and the dashboard to actually be able to see. So I get it when an airbag comes at you. If it came at me, I'd probably be black and blue. But there were no reports of the airbag going off. And if it did, and that airbag caused that damage, what caused the kidney failure? Because she posts this photo basically saying goodbye to her loved ones on Facebook or social media somewhere, and saying that she's got 4 days to live because she's in complete renal failure, which is kidney failure. A fender bender caused that. Like, what does all the bruising on the face have to do with her kidneys? So I can understand if, the car rolled and she got extracted. There was all kinds of, but it was a fender bender. The driver left. The bus driver apparently left, from what I can gather, because he's like, we'll sort this out later. I got to get these kids home. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. So she did not die 4 days later, but she was being moved to a specialist center where she would be receiving treatment. But if she's supposed to die, why are they taking her to some expensive medical treatment center? That I don't understand. So that none of that adds up. And the question that kind of keeps rolling around in my head is, if she is dead, when did she actually die? Because after she was supposedly taken to some specialist treatment center for her kidneys, in a, which you would think is an attempt to save her life, that she would stay there. And if she did die from this, that's where she would die. But instead, she was found, allegedly, in her apartment, having unalived herself. How did she go from the treatment center to her apartment when she was supposed to be in renal failure? And we haven't heard anything from her in terms of a video or anything. Like, it was just a photograph. I mean, I can pick up anybody's phone, go into their Facebook, post a photo, and act like them, right? It's not hard. So the question is, who posted that photo saying that she was dying in 4 days? Who posted that? Anyway, none of this adds up for me because of who Virginia is. So she was an employee of Jeffrey Epstein. I don't believe that she was taken to that island against her will. I think she went willingly and probably thought it was going to be a fantastic, wonderful, exciting life. And then, I don't think she was there against her will. There may be things that went on while she was there that were against her will, but I don't think she went there against her will. She was an employee. She got paid. she did her job. But she also spent years fighting. She survived Epstein. She took on billionaires, royalty, politicians, and a human trafficking network. She was a mother, she was a wife, even though it sounds like she was estranged from her husband, but she was a fighter. And it just doesn't make sense that now, after everything, she would just give up. So I'm not buying this story. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I might be wrong. These are all my opinions, okay, for entertainment purposes only. So don't be coming for me. But I just don't know that. I don't know. She just didn't seem like the type who would give up. So now I'm starting to wonder, did she need to disappear? So there's some possible lies being told here. So possible lie number one is that she herself unalived herself. And this might be covering up some truth. Number two, that she was depressed and overwhelmed. And this kind of comes out like character assassination, basically, to make the unaliving story seem believable. She had also posted that she was not depressed and that she was not thinking about unaliving herself. Interesting that just last night I saw somebody else that I follow posted something similar because they're afraid for their life. So I get it, that why you would do that and why she would do that. Lie number three, potential lie number three, she had no enemies and was not in danger. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So this is trying to paint her as like she was safe and that, that she was just living her happy life and that maybe she wasn't. This is like sort of covering up that maybe she was being threatened. Maybe, yeah. Yeah. The lie number four, potential lie number four is that her death was sudden and unexpected. Which would be covering up anything leading up to her unaliving herself. Potential lie number five, there's no foul play, which would shut down investigations. So they would not be able to get the police to look into this any further. They'd have to hire a private investigator and lawyers and things like that if her family or anybody who might be questioning this. Possible lie number six, the family confirming it. They might have been pressured. They might have been paid. We don't know the full story. They may be going along with it, knowing the truth, and then sort of helping to keep her hidden or whatever. I don't know. Possible lie number seven, that the investigation is closed, which would, again, that would eliminate forensic work or anything else. And possible lie number eight is that she had no major upcoming lawsuits or testimony. And I don't know that that's true. I don't know, because that would be definitely trying to hide anything that might point to something else going on. So the official story is that she herself unalived herself, that she was overwhelmed, she was depressed, and that there was no foul play. And the family, we are told that the family has confirmed that, that the investigation, so like they're just trying to make this go away. And I've noticed that every time like somebody well-known gets close to the truth, they end up silenced, missing, suspicious circumstances, and nobody talks about it. The media just moves on. We're not, the only people talking about it are YouTubers. So here's something that I used to work in the funeral industry. I still do. I'm adjacent to the funeral industry still. And I know how it works. And this story is reminding me of a woman who 2 years ago, I think, faked her own death in my town. And there was, the first thing I was looking for was a death notice on the funeral home website. That is your legal confirmation that someone has actually died. Because it would be really, really hard to get a funeral home to put a death notice up on their website if there's no body. And like, I know myself, when I had people sitting in front of me, if they said, yeah, well, we just want to pretend, that somebody's died. Like, if I had not taken um, somebody's body into my care, I would not post it on the website. So if there's anybody out there who can find a death notice on a website in Australia that is about Virginia, let's see it. Let's see it. Because that would be some confirmation for us that she is, in fact, actually not here anymore. But yeah, to get a funeral home to go along with it would be pretty difficult to do. You'd have to pay them a lot of money, and you'd have to find the unscrupulous funeral director who'd be willing to do it. And believe me when I say they talk to each other. So if somebody came in and was like, yeah, we need you to put this on your website, we'll pay you, blah, 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 but we don't have a body or anything, and they say, no, like, I can't do that, they're going to let all the other funeral homes in the area know, hey, just so you know, heads up, everybody, this person might come knock on your door. So that would be something to look for. I'll maybe do that after this. So anyway, so let's break down some real possibilities here. Assassination, or she was silenced. She may have been unalived by somebody else to prevent her from testifying, or even just revealing any bigger, deeper truths about the Epstein network, because there are some pretty powerful elites there, the global cabal and all of that. And with the Epstein files just kind of floating out there in space, in the ether, just waiting to be opened and revealed, who was on that list? She could have been put into witness protection. And so that she is still alive and is being hidden to protect her because her testimony could really take down a lot of very, very, very powerful people. And they don't have any feelings about murder and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this could be self-imposed. She could have just removed herself from society and staged her death to get away from this danger, the threat, and just start a new life. And she may have people helping her that no one even knows about, that only her. So that's a possibility as well. She may have been captured, taken against her will, and put on an Epstein property. That's definitely an option. Yeah, she could be being held somewhere to keep her from testifying. I don't know that, I wrote it down because I thought it's a possibility. I just don't think it's the strongest possibility, but it's definitely a possibility. She may have been being threatened or coerced, which would make her feel like she perhaps had to go underground and disappear. She might not have felt like she had any other options. And there was, I wrote down, a black ops abduction with deep state involvement. It could be that she was taken in a covert operation, either for leverage or protection, or to silence her. So, there's always the secret societies, the Illuminati and things like that, that if she had dirt on high level people involved in that, they might have said, you know what, let's get rid of this one. This one's a problem. And she would be a problem for them. Not a problem to the world, but a problem to them. Absolutely. She could have poisoned herself to end up in a medical situation to make it look like she had been attacked, or it could be the opposite, that she was poisoned by someone else to make it look like an unaliving. There's all kinds of things. She could have actually done this. Yeah, that it is a possibility that she did actually unalive herself. It's just too much. Just everything caught up with her and it just became too much. She could be like a warning to others. Yeah, they could have dealt with her and just been like, this is what happens when you talk. So just a warning to everyone else. And it is, we know that the media is owned by all of these billionaires and elites and all of these people, politicians, royalty, all of it. And they would have likely told the media, we don't talk about this. Just like, I happen to live in Canada, and our state-funded media doesn't talk about the negative sides of our government. So there's things that people don't even know are going on. So I know this all sounds a little bit far-fetched, but we live in a world where Epstein killed himself while under 24-hour surveillance. Yeah. And Ghislaine Maxwell, Mark Carney's friend, allegedly, she was convicted and was put in jail, put in prison, and not one single client was named. There was no actual evidence or proof. I don't necessarily think Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison either. So yeah, when you have that kind of money, and you don't want to get in trouble, you make your problems go away. It's pretty simple. I think we know enough to know. I think we're all up to date on that sort of thing. So here's things that they don't want you to ask. Were there any major court dates coming up related to Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, or anyone else? So that it would be worth looking into that. Were any other witnesses to any of this that went on being threatened, disappeared, or suddenly went silent? There may be others. We don't know. Was she working on a book? Was she working on a documentary? Was she giving interviews? Was she planning interviews to tell the story? Those things are possibilities. Has there been an actual full independent autopsy? That not from the hospital or but like the family hiring someone to do an autopsy. You can do that. It just takes money. Everything just takes money. And she had it because didn't she get a big, huge settlement because of that whole Epstein thing? Where's that money? Who has access to that money? Who would have access to that money now that she's dead? These are good questions to be asking. I'm actually quite impressed at myself for writing all this down. Why now? Is another question they don't want anybody asking. She has survived so much. Legal battles, public scrutiny, threats, all of it. She survived so much. Why now? Why now would this happen? Because I don't think it was anything to do with this car accident. I think the car accident happened. We've got that confirmed, but I don't think that this is because of the car accident. I think this is all something yeah. Who's on the list? Who's in the files that could would not want their name said in a court or in testimony or in an interview or anything like that? Were there any sealed court documents that she might be linked to that would have to be opened up if the Epstein files ever become fully, truly public? That's a question. And I've not actually seen any video of the family talking. I've just read about it. I can't, you know what I mean? So how were they, what was the tone? Like, were they upset? Did it sound mechanical? Like, did it sound scripted? That would be interesting to know. And I don't know what happened. I don't know that any of us will ever know what happened, except maybe the people closest to her. But I know that she deserves better than being erased, because just, her life mattered, and the fight that she had mattered. And if you are feeling like this is not adding up, like, you're not alone. Believe me, you're not crazy for thinking this just isn't adding up. So I want to hear from you. I really, really want to know what you think. I know a lot of times when I film videos, people will fill in the blanks for me. Like, if there's something I don't know, they'll be like, oh, here you go, and then fill in the blanks. I love that. And I so appreciate it, because together we create a full story, right? So which theory do you think it is? What feels most real to you? And what do you think actually happened to her? Because I don't, this story is not landing for me. Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. And let's not let them bury this story. You know, I don't think they buried her. So let's not bury the story. And if you're still watching, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, that's letting me know that you're one of the people who's willing to look deeper into these things. So here's what we can do to keep moving forward. Give me a like. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It tells YouTube, the more people who like the videos, the more people YouTube will show them to. And that helps grow anybody's channel, really. And it costs nothing, right? Give me a subscribe, leave a comment, so that together we can like get these conversations out in the open and shake the silence on this one, because I just feel like there's so much more to be said. Let's make Virginia's name really hard to ignore. And maybe someday we'll get to the bottom of it. So now I turn this over to you. What do you think happened to Virginia Giuffre? Let me know in the comments. Don't be afraid to go deep. Your voice matters. Every single voice matters in every conversation. So please let me know. And if you think this is worth sharing, give it a share. I would love it. The truth is never handed to us. Sometimes we have to fight for it. So, you know, yeah, her story was not finished. She was a survivor, a fighter, and a threat to very, very powerful people. And I think that they've come up with the easiest narrative, but I think the real story is so much more, I think it's darker and more explosive than anybody can even imagine at the moment. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. What do you think happened? What do you think? Do you think that she's hiding? Do you think she's being hidden? Do you think she did unalive herself? Do you think that she's been silenced? Let me know. Okay, thank you, and stay curious.